channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Megan. Oh my god, I'm so excited because today I am playing with the Alyssa Edwards palette by Anastasia and the primer. Yes, so today's video is going to be a first impression slash mini review. I have so many ideas for this palette. I am so excited to get my hands on it. Honestly, I've been doing a low buy this year, so I've only really purchased two major items, this being one of them. And yeah, the only other thing that got me so excited about makeup was the Game of Thrones collection with Urban Decay, which I did get. And this, I am so excited right now. Like, I'm really hoping that I'm not let down, but I've heard nothing but good things about this and the primer. So let's go ahead and get into costs before we jump into anything else and get ahead of ourselves. The palette retails for $45, which I think is a pretty fair price for, I believe it's 14 shadows. Anywhere between like $45 and $50, honestly, for like a mid-tier or higher end. I don't think it's a terrible price. The colors in here, oh my god. I love the fact that Anastasia collabed with the drag queen. I think that that's amazing. I think it's amazing that we have like a higher end, like more luxury scene brand that's playing with very bold colors. I know that they've been dipping their toes in it with the Riviera palette and the Norvina palette, but like, this is pretty bold. I'm pretty excited to see this. I'm gonna stop myself before I talk too much. And then we have the primer. They have a travel size primer or a mini primer that you can get, which I probably should have bought, but I'm impulsive, so I got the full-size primer, which is $23. I have not tried the P. Louise base, so I can't compare it to that, but I can compare it to other things that I use for primers. So I'm using both of these in the video today. Oh my god, I am so excited. All right, so now that we have that price out of the way with, we can get started and start to play. So I have my brows outlined, and then I just carved out my brows with concealer. I'm sure I could have used base, but I wasn't sure, so now we will find out. I'm so nervous to use this because I heard if you use too much, it's not good, or if you don't use enough, it's not good. So I was watching, I follow Norvina on, ooh, this is already coming out like crazy, mama. All right, so this already blipped out. It might be too much. I've been following Norvina, by the way, I'm just using a concealer brush, on Twitter, and she said that you really just need the smallest amount of this base for it to work. So let's see. I mean, it's spreading out nicely. My instinct is to like go and blend it in and pat it in with a beauty blender. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. By the way, if you're not subscribed to my channel, now is probably a good time to do so, especially if you're really interested in these products, because I have a whole bunch of video ideas in store. I'm going to be doing a comparison video of this primer with other primers that I have and use, so that will be a video. I'm going to be doing 3 looks using one palette, and I'm going to be comparing this palette to the James Charles palette. So if you have any interest in that, I highly suggest you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, because that will be coming in the next week for you. So this has pretty good coverage. It looks like it's spread pretty evenly. It does look a little bit dry, and I feel like I totally could have cut my brows with this just because I am that pale, but I feel like if you aren't so pale, you probably should still use your concealer to cut your, or carve your brows. Did I say cut my brows? What the hell is wrong with me? All right, I'm dragging this out because I like to drag out my shadow. It's like, should I be putting this on my under eyes too? Like, I don't know, girl. I'm just quickly gonna take my sponge to try to soften this edge over here. The primer feels like it has a little bit of tackiness to it, but not a whole lot. So I'm not gonna go super in depth with what I'm doing. I'm gonna show you guys what shadows I'm using and stuff, but this isn't necessarily gonna be a tutorial because I'm sure I talk a lot, we know this. So this is gonna be long, I don't wanna make it even longer. I have no idea what colors I'm gonna use. I definitely think I have time to do 2 looks. I'm going to a 7-year-old's birthday party, so first I was like, I feel like I kind of have to use neutral shades, but I believe I have time to do both. So we're gonna play with color in this video. I don't know where to start. All right, so I just laid down the first 2 colors. This eye needs to be darkened a little bit, but I just wanted to say that Unicorn Tribe is pretty powdery, pretty messy, and that's pretty typical from my experience with soft glam, so that's nothing new. I just hope that it doesn't stain the yellow that the Access shadow fell into. I just wanted to show that now because I do want to keep my palette clean. I don't want to keep getting Unicorn Tribe into all these different colors. So I'm going to clear my palette, but the white was slightly powdery, just not nearly as bad. Headliner is about a normal amount of fallout, but Unicorn Tribe is pretty powdery. I just finished the top part of this eye. As you can see, there's very slight fallout. I think it was just random that I had this chunk of pink, but the blue I would say fell out mostly because I was using it as liner, and like 99% of any eyeshadow I use as liner I get fallout on my face from, so it's nothing against the shadow. The purple, blue, and pink, I believe, I could be incorrect, but from what I see, I didn't look into this or anything, I probably should have, but they seem to be a pigment to me, so they're not gonna be pressed loosely, they're gonna be pressed pretty firm, so there's not gonna be a lot of fallout with those colors. So I'm really happy with how this looks. The purple went on really, really seamlessly. I was kind of nervous about using the purple because from past experiences, purples can be really hard to work with. So yeah, by the way, you like my sunburn starting to feel gross. So I'm gonna go ahead and come back when I'm ready for the lower lash line. Great, so I am done with the eye look. I'm like really happy with how these shadows blended. They were so easy to work with. I didn't, tap off the extra when I did my under eye, so there was a lot of fallout with the pigment, but I knew that was gonna happen because I wasn't tapping off the shadow. Again, this is normal. This is what would happen with pretty much any eyeshadow. If you pack enough of it on without tapping off the excess, you're gonna get fallout. Basically what I'm trying to say is that this isn't abnormal. There isn't an unusual amount of fallout. There's virtually none. So I will say when I went in with this little accent brush by Real Techniques, it did start to powder up and break up the shadow here and believe you can kind of see. But other than that, the pink, blue, and purple were pretty solid. They didn't really break up or anything. So far the palette's pretty clean. The only messy color has been Unicorn Tribe. So we'll see how the rest of the palette looks once I get into the neutral shades. All right, so I just washed that look off. There is like the slightest bit of staining. I will say, because I wiped everything off with a makeup wipe first, if you just do that, it's gonna seem like you have a lot of staining on your lids, but I don't recommend just using that to clean your face. Like definitely wash your face with the cleanser. But once I washed my face with the cleanser, like most of the pink came off. There's some areas like right here where it's sticking a little bit over here, and then like on my lash line, it's still slightly stained, but to me, I don't mind it. If I'm going out and about, I would just put some concealer on my lids, call it a day, but nothing major. All right, so here is the more natural look, the tamer shadows, more neutral shadows from the palette. This is what the palette looks like. These shadows are really not that powdery compared to Soft Glam. So far, Unicorn Tribe seems to be the most powdery shadow out of all of them. I kind of dipped into House of Edwards, didn't really get to it a lot. BBDC I didn't get to, and Beast I didn't get to, so I think I did a pretty good job of using most shadows in this palette for this review. Alright everyone, I'm back, so you got to see a little bit of the neutral eye. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing that. Be sure to check out my 3 looks using one palette with this. If there's any other kind of looks you would like to see me using this palette, leave it in the comments below. I'm going to be doing a comparison video to the James Charles palette, and I'm also going to be doing a primer comparison video, so be sure you're on the lookout for that. My final verdict on this palette is, if you don't have a lot of shadows with pops of color and you kind of want to delve into it, I think that this is the perfect palette for you. It has a good shade of neutrals. It has, I mean, the colors in here are just beyond, honestly. They're just so amazing, so good. I've never used such bright, vibrant colors that have been so pigmented, that haven't gone patchy, that blended out effortlessly. Like, this palette was so easy to use. I think it'd be really great if you're a beginner with makeup too. I highly suggest this. I didn't cover the brush really because I don't really use brushes that come in these palettes, but you do get a dual-ended brush with a little blender and a little packer guy. I'm sure they're great. I just personally don't use them. But I am just really happy with how this palette turned out, how this look came out. I can't wait to play with this more. I'm somebody that does have quite a few colorful palettes, and this is definitely ranking its way right up to the top of them. Honestly, the pigment in here is so good. If you're a fan of Anastasia, if you're a fan of Alyssa Edwards, or if you're just a fan of bright shadows and neutral shadows, I cannot recommend this palette more. Playing with the primer, with the 2 looks, I really do like this. I think that the key to it is a thin layer. I did do a 3rd look using the primer, which was a Pride look, and it caused me to use 3 layers of the primer. So it did start to accentuate a lot of, I don't know, the texture of my skin that was on my eyelid after building it up so much. So the thinner the layer, the better it looks. But I still think my look turned out okay. It wasn't horrible or anything, but I can see how this can be messy if you use too much. Honestly, the littlest amount to cover your skin, pounce it out with a blender and you'll be good to go. So I would recommend this too, especially I've heard it's comparable to P. Louise. I can't speak because I haven't tried it, but I think if you're interested in a similar base but don't want to pay for overseas shipping, this could be a good option. I'm really happy with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first impression and review video. Let me know in the comments below, have you gotten this palette? What are your thoughts? Do you think you may purchase it? I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.